What's your opinion on, let's say that you have that job. I'll go to something specific. Like I have that job that I hate and I just keep telling myself I'm happy, I'm grateful. Do you think that that will help? Do you really believe that there'll be a moment where boom, now I finally believe and I can be happy at this job?
Again, it's about understanding the role of the job. I can be grateful for my job, that it provides some security and stability, etc. And then I can also learn to listen to myself, because what you're describing here is this thought from the outside going in. Should. This is purple, not red. It's purple. When in actuality, a lot of what I try to help people do is listen. Listen to yourself. Just start doing things that enliven you. Connect with your aliveness, connect with your curiosity, and start to follow that. And maybe it'll lead to finances, maybe it won't, but at some point you're gonna have to feed yourself. You're starting a family, you're gonna have to take care of those responsibilities. But you also gotta pay attention to this part of us, the part of you that's here to be alive.
Welcome to the High Performance Human Podcast, where high achievers learn to master themselves, not just their success. I'm Creighton Bertrand, a certified high performance coach, here to share practical tools to rewire your habits and mindset. If you're ready to move beyond good enough and step into real transformation, you're in the right place. Let's get to work.
But it's not that we really need to be that busy, it's that somehow we kind of equate it with this is what helps me exist. This is what justifies my existence. And when you start to see through it, part of the culture, especially with the high performing people that I work with, because I don't really come from that high performance place. Like I'm a creative person. There's like a premium on space because that's where the ideas come from.
Oh, that makes so much. My wife's very creative. She's an interior designer. And so like, she's really good at graphic and like time is irrelevant to her. She can just sit and whatever she gets done, where I'm like, okay, every second we're going to be doing this and then this and then this, like everything's allocated.
I think that when we start to recognize that there's a yin yang here, it's not about, okay, well, I used to be the high performer doing guy and now I'm going to be the being guy. And it's not that. It's just like recognizing that for each of us, there's a bit of an interplay in how those things work. But if we never allow ourselves to have space, then we never allow these ideas to actually kind of take root. But we also never give ourselves a chance to listen. And there's so much great information within us. Our own wisdom is there. We learn lessons as we go through life, not just what people tell us. And with so much information around, like we can open up the phone and have so many things pumped at us about, even if it's well-meaning, like this from this great guy and this great person and me and all these other folks. You can just fill your head with shit all day long, but never know yourself, like never know what you want. And nobody can tell you that other than you. And the only way that we find out is through experience. Where do I actually feel free? Where do I actually feel alive? Where do I actually feel more loving and connected? Where do I actually feel more peace? Nobody can tell you that. And so we have to create that space. And so we have to get over that first bump or that first hump of, but this is uncomfortable. I don't have things coming at me, left, right, and center. It's like learning to be with that discomfort and you'll survive. You'll be fine.
But 10 minutes of sitting is an eternity.
So what? What if I went, oh gosh, you're right, let's not do it. My daughter's 15 now. When she was 2 or 3, like there were really big things that seemed like such a big deal to her. I would be doing her a disservice if I was like, you're really right. There is a monster under your bed. What if I believed her that there was a monster under the bed and I got a flamethrower and we torched the room to get the monster out? That doesn't help her.
Right.
What does help her is, I think you can, let's grab a flashlight and you and I are both going to look. Yeah. That's empowering. Like, oh, you can do this. Yes, it's challenging, but you can do it.
You mentioned something and I'm wondering, I know for me and my journey, obviously you've been doing this longer, but for me, I was so lost and so miserable in my life because of literally what you're talking about. I didn't know who I was. Like, my whole life was always chasing validation from everyone else, of scanning the room, like what does society say is good, what's successful? And it was like, oh, well, in order to be successful, you have to have money. In order to be worthy, you have to have a good job. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go make money. I'm going to go be an engineer. And I did all these things that everyone said I should do. And it was when I was in my 30s that I did everything everyone said. I did what everyone said I should be doing, but I didn't feel any better. But if I would have asked myself, well, who are you doing this for? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for others? Like, what is the real function behind each thing that you're trying to achieve, whether it's a goal or whatever? Like, I would have realized like none of it was aligned with me because I didn't know who the hell I was.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Like it's part of our development to seek safety, right? It's part of our development to follow scripts. Do this, do this, do this, do this, and you'll be fine. It's part of our development and our wiring to seek status. Like it's part of our wiring. Just study other apes and primates. Like there's no like getting like away from that. But we also evolve. And there's a question that we're asking ourselves, whether we realize it or not. As we're young people, it's kind of like, who am I? And that who am I is more like, who am I compared to others? Mm. So everything's kind of within this zone of, well, am I enough compared to that guy? Well, what do I do? Okay, well, if I want to be extraordinary, I need to be doing this. It's all relevant to what's around us. But at a point, we start to ask ourselves, wait a second, who am I really? Mm-hmm. And that's part of our development. And some people think it's wrong. It's like, oh, I've been screwing up this whole time. It's like, you're right on track.
Yes, 100%.
The problem is if we negate, like if we deny that we're having those questions or we deny that we're having these experiences, like we talked about earlier, those experiences just tell us it's time to evolve. It's time to keep moving forward. And so if you can embrace that, it's like, okay, I'm right on track. These things that used to be satisfying, the game I played in my 20s is no longer satisfying. Guess what? Neither were the toys that I played with when I was 5. So it's okay to keep evolving and keep moving. It's what makes life fresh. And so those questions and uncertainty don't mean that you've done something wrong. They mean that you've gotten to this next stage. And it's time to ask deeper questions. Who am I really? Okay, that's more internal than external.
Mm. And as someone's going through that, do you feel like who you are changes? So let's go, your daughter's 15, that who she is at 15 is going to be the same that she is at 25, at 30, at 40. Like, how frequent should we be going through this evaluation of like, okay, what am I doing? How am I feeling?
Every day. And I'm serious. Well, there's 2 parts to this, right? Which is there's what I call the small self, the part of us that we need in order to navigate the world, to be safe, to fit in, that. And have status. Like there's just like things we do, right? And that's the small self. Like I want to go to the grocery store, or I need to have a business or whatever. This is the vessel, right? This trip here is the vessel. Mm-hmm. But then I believe that, and this is anything I came up with necessarily, but it's just that I believe that we have an essence that was born in us and is here to live through us and as us. And that was with us from the very beginning, even before we came out of our mamas. And the more we deny that, if we forget that, if we cut ourselves off from that, we cut ourselves off from our vitality and our curiosity. And so to answer your question is, that small self will change and evolve over time like we're talking about, but we can also have a relationship with that essence in us. Mm. And we can honor that from the get-go all the way through. Usually, though, when we start school and getting into that place, we start getting all the scripts and you got to be this way and you got to be that way. We start disconnecting from essence. And you can see some kids are like, screw that. I'm not letting you disconnect from me. And they're free spirits or whatever. It's like they're trying to stay alive, right? A lot of them. And for so many people that are dissatisfied with life, even they got everything, a lot of them have cut themselves off from their essence. They don't really know who they are on that deep essential level. They only know who they should be. And so a lot of this work is like, okay, how can I have my small self serve my essence instead of my small self eclipse my essence?
So do you think that's something like for your daughter, someone that's younger, that they should be starting with of, knowing who you are? Like you said, okay, well, let's say you're at a job that you hate, you're miserable, all that, start being still. And then would you recommend, okay, well, in the stillness, start to figure out like, who are you? Who do you want to be?
Yeah. And I think a better question just be like, what do I want to explore? Where does my curiosity want to go? What do I want to learn? Where do I just feel drawn to? And a lot of times, like, that doesn't make any sense. That won't make you money. People will think that's stupid, and so we cut it off. But it's just like, I want to learn it. I want to read about that. And so it's just finding ways to do the thing, even though it doesn't really line up with all the shoulds. I'm not talking about doing stuff that would be hurtful to other people necessarily, but I think like there's just harmless things, like whatever your interests are, Yeah, so what? If it doesn't make any sense, but if it still has you feel alive and it just draws you in and you get to a flow state, abso-freaking-lutely do it.
Can you think of any example? I can think of a couple on my end that you've done that. Well, obviously you being an artist and being creative, so this is probably pretty
Music,
normal for
driving,
you.
like I've gotten into, motorsports, and that's freaking a terrible avenue to go down. But I have a sim racing rig in the other room. It's just like allowing yourself to play. And I think a lot of us have forgotten how to play.
Yes, yes.
It has to be like, no, if I do a thing, it has to further my goals or help me do X, Y, and Z. Whereas
Mm,
play is just exploring. Like, let's
yeah.
just go. Let's just have some fun. And a lot of us, we have an allergy to play.
Yes. Or we just forgot. I remember one of my first coaches had me do that. He's like, "Hey, what did you used to do for fun?" I'm like, I what? Like, I don't need to do fun. I just need to get more rental properties. I just need to make more money. Like, once I this, then I'll, right? The whole
Yeah, good luck.
syndrome. And he's like, "Okay, well, what did you used to do that you used to do for fun?" And I was like, "Nothing. Like, I don't know." And he's like, "All right, what about when you're younger?" It's like, "Oh, I used to love to play soccer." He's like, "When's the last time you played soccer?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't have time for that." He goes, "Okay, we'll go do that this weekend." I'm like, "That's the stupidest thing. How's that going to help?" He's like, "Just do it and then come back and tell me how big of an idiot I am." I'm like, "Perfect. I'll do that." So I went and did it. And then when I came back, I just it and obviously studying the neuroscience of it now, like it totally makes sense. The hormones, all the stuff that it releases, but it gives you, like you're talking about, when you get in that flow, you get that energy, it changes how you show up to work, how you're going to show up in your life. Like now my wife even knows the days that I go out and play soccer. She's like, "Oh, you played soccer today." I'm like, "Oh, how did you know?" She goes, "Oh, you're just like floating on air whenever you go out and play soccer." And I've seen the impact that that has in my business, in my work, and in my relationships by going out and doing stuff. Plus the connections that I've got and all that. Like, I think a lot of us don't see how that compounds into something bigger. So we're reluctant to let go of going back to stuff that we're talking, that belief that that's a waste, that belief that that's not going to help.
Imagine what it would be like if you could treat everything like play. And this is really hard because we decide, and understandably so, we decide that the stakes are too high over here.
Mm,
I've got to get this right. I've
mm,
got to have the checklist. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be a certain way. So there's no play here. There's no let's see. There's no experimentation. I've got to get this right. People have sex this way. They have a checklist when they're having sex. It's not a place to play. It's
mm,
not a place to explore. It's not a place to have fun. It's not a place to let yourself go wild and see where things go. It's like, nope, we're going to do this position. We're going to do that
mm.
position. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then after 6 minutes,
And
we're
then
going to
we'll
go
get the
here.
show.
And then you're going to get your thing and then we'll head off, right? And so everything becomes about performance.
Mm,
But I would argue that when we relax the stakes, when we really, this is why it's so important to have a bigger perspective on life other than what we can achieve. When we can relax the stakes in life, we start to realize that everything can be play.
mm,
And we might even be more effective at it because we can be creative, because we're more flexible, because we're willing to collaborate, because we're willing to experiment and try new things. That sounds like strength to me rather than rigidity, which is like there's only one freaking way and it has to be this way and it's got to be done that like suddenly like all of that power gets siphoned away.
yeah, that's all
And
fear, right?
it's all fear, but it breeds scarcity, breeds greed. Look at our world right now with this massive indifference. It's just like, what the hell? What does it look like when it's play? It
Yeah.
looks generous.
Well, let me press on that if you're okay. Like, what about if you are in a financial situation? Like, how can you, for that person's that's like, okay, Trip, this sounds great. I would love to do all this play, but I have bills, I have these things. So you're saying I should just tell my wife or my spouse, hey, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go play and I'm not going to have to deal with all these financial burdens.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that what if we could be more playful with our challenges? And there's times where it's like, you know what, we got to buckle up and get through it. But I think those times can be playful too.
Mm,
Playful, what does that mean? It means being creative. It means being willing to be experimental. When we're in play, though, we are locked in. And again, we've kind of made it wrong. Like I remember when I pulled myself out of a financial challenge of, we were talking about earlier, the kind of the dark night of the soul. And I was talking to somebody and there was like it was one of those gigantic lotteries or something. And it was like, oh, I hope I win the lottery this weekend. And part of me was like, I hope I don't. This is fun. I'm finally having fun at this after struggling. This feels fun.
Yeah.
So it's not fun when you're struggling, when the stakes are really high. What tends to happen though is that we raise the stakes because we think we need to make things more important, right? How many of us are still living with this sense of scarcity, even though we have plenty of money and plenty of income, but we're like, oh God. I was talking to somebody the other day. They're sitting on 10 million and he's like, I lose sleep every night.
Yeah.
Wondering if I'm going to have enough.
Yeah.
Like that sense of scarcity is in his wiring. It has nothing to do with reality. That's what I'm talking about. It's like challenging the very idea that you're in danger. Some of us need to get our shit together and get our financial program going. But a lot of us are actually way more than fine and still telling ourselves that we're in danger.
So I like that. So if you are in that moment where you're like, cool, I want to have more play, but I can't because of the finances, ask yourself, is that a true story?
Am I really in danger?
Yeah.
Or is this about my ego? We might actually be more
Comparative.
emotionally bankrupt. We might be more spiritually bankrupt.
Oh, we're fine with that, though. No one cares about being emotionally or spiritually bankrupt. That's
But if you are and you don't know anything else, you just keep looking to money. Money's the God.
Yeah.
That's what we bend the knee to. That's our devotion. We're devoted to money and it's socially accepted to do so. But what does it look like when we're emotionally and spiritually bankrupt? Well, it means like all I can do is just make more money.
Or depression and all the other things that are waiting for you on the other side. Like you're talking about, I've coached a decent amount of millionaires that same thing. They have all the money and they're still on the brink of divorce and just as afraid and miserable as those that don't have anything. And I think everyone will do what I used to do of like, once I have this, then once I have the millions, then I'll fix my relationship with my wife. Once I have the money, then I'm going to go finally play soccer. Once I have the money, then I'm going to go finally be the father that I wanted to be for my kids. But we're idolizing the money. And obviously when you put something up, everything else has to go down. Like just you and I having this conversation right now, I'm literally saying no to my health, to my family, to my clients, and I appreciate you giving me your time. But I think most of us don't understand when we say yes to something, we say no to literally everything else. And so that takes you down a pretty dark rabbit hole if it's just the money. It's like, what are you willing to suffer and sacrifice? And maybe, I hope whoever is listening to this, like, yeah, Creighton, Tripp, you guys are idiots. I'm loving money and it's working out great for me. Awesome.
I want to be clear. It's not about money though.
What do you mean?
The money is a theory. It's a proxy. Everything you just talked about, the way you framed it, once this, right? It's all a theory. Once I get to this place, then I'll have permission. When it's not about money, we're wanting permission.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I was just saying what that person's thinking, but yeah, I agree 100%. Money is just a tool to whatever reality we're trying.
But if you understand that you're waiting for permission, you're waiting to be comfortable once and for all, you're waiting to be secure once and for all, you're waiting to be enough once and for all, that's a trap. I mean, one of my former coaches, Phil Stutz, calls it exoneration. It's a trap. There's no velvet rope. There's no free ride. It doesn't happen. So then it's a matter of what's enough. And if our self-worth is determined by those things and we can never feel enough, then yeah, you're on that train for life, buddy. Or if you can start to challenge those things and say, well, I'm going to die one day. Is this really it? Am I going to be glad? I'm laying there in the middle of the street looking up at the sky and taking my last breath. Am I going to be glad that I dicked around and just chased money my whole life?
What do you feel like? One of my favorite questions to ask, and one of them that helped me quit my engineering job, was if I had 1 year to live, what is it that I'd be doing with my life? And that's where mine was. I would just be trying to help people understand their mind, their beliefs, and all these things so that they could finally be happy with who and what they were. So is there anything that you feel like you've used or to help you navigate where you're going?
I think so. Yeah, there's something similar in there. It's like, what am I waiting for permission to do? Like that. That's a great one. It's like, oh, okay, so if the money was there, or if people wouldn't make fun of me, or if whatever, like, then what
would you do? If I had all the money, then what? Oh, well, then I would go on a date with my wife. Okay, well, let's go do that now.
There's way too much of, like I said, waiting for permission, or even just using that as an excuse. You know what it is? It's laziness. I don't want to do the work. As long as I've got a thing I need to be doing elsewhere, I can just stay in the thing where I feel in control and I feel like I've got something that I can do about it. But If I have enough, well, then there's a lot of question marks. And a lot of us don't want to do that. We just want to stay in the same lane and keep playing the same game, even if we're not happy. In the same way that we'll be in relationships that make us miserable, it's familiar. And so a lot of us are just avoiding that uncertainty, like you pointed out earlier. And so we use that as an excuse. Oh, I need more money.
So I know you've studied probably more than I have as far as neuroscience, spirituality, all that. What do you think it is on why we choose to suffer?
I think that suffering, well, part of it's just kind of the human condition, but I think there's something else in our culture which equates suffering with value and worth. If you think about it, there's like something, how you doing? Oh man, things have been rough. Oh no, really? But if you say, how you doing? I haven't been doing shit, man. I've been having a good time. People are like, oh, you're a little lazy, aren't you? You're kind of letting yourself go, huh? Having fun. Who are you? You're not, that's not all right.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of frowned upon. So there's this kind of like our puritanical background and like we value work, we value suffering. That's where value comes from. That's where our worth comes from. And so a lot of us believe we need to be suffering in order to be worthy, and we hang our hat on it. And there's a lot of people that suffer needlessly for that very reason. They equate busyness and urgency, and they'll go down the list of, all the full things are. And somehow it's like, yeah, I can't possibly go live my life and have any autonomy. I've got all this shit to do. And it lets them off the hook.
So suffering is essentially a badge that we get a.
Sure.
Do you think it's possible to mount, I'm going to use your word of play, that you can have a high level of play without suffering?
I think suffering is going to be part of life. There's just going to be a certain level of suffering in our lives. There's definitely going to be pain. Pain is a constant. But suffering is going to be part of life because we have to make choices, like you said earlier. When I make this choice to have X, I'm making a choice to not have Y. Right? And there's tension there. There's thinking like, oh, so this idea that we can have it all, or we can get to a place where we can have it all, that's suffering. And then the idea that I'm going to choose this over that, that creates a level of suffering too. It's okay. It's just part of life. But when we start to have more of a North Star, a real sense of what we want in our lives, then going for what we want is like, yeah, this is more important. And I'm willing to live with that tension there. And I think you asked something about play. What was it?
Oh, I was just asking, do you think that you can have play without suffering? But I think you answered it, that everything in life is going to require some sort of pain, some sort of suffering.
Well, let's talk about play.
Sure.
Name any game. Let's say you're playing soccer and you're playing against a bunch of 4-year-olds. Is it fun?
I mean, I'm pretty competitive, so yeah, I'm still having fun dribbling around them. They're like cones.
Okay. Let's imagine you're going to do it every Friday night for the next 3 weeks.
I mean, I'm sorry because
That's fun. Okay.
I'm killing it because that's how much I love to play. Like I will literally go out, and I'm not even a professional or even that good, but for some reason, just dancing with the ball is so fun.
Awesome.
So even
Love that.
4-year-old, even if they were just gnomes standing out there, I would still have fun. Like I literally, because I'm pretty intense, like I will set up cones and just dribble and play around.
Okay. What you're doing there, though, is you're setting up challenge. My point that I was trying to make was that without a certain level of challenge, there's not tension, there's no stakes. It doesn't feel like play anymore. Too much challenge, it's overwhelming. It's not fun anymore. We don't get into a flow state. Stephen Kotler says that we can be in a place where we're very comfortable and we're bored, like our brains aren't really active, they're not being challenged, and we can be overwhelmed. But where we find this sweet spot, where we find our flow is just being stretched a bit. So like, I don't know if I'm going to make this or not, but I think I can. That's where we have the most fun. That's where it's most playful. And so video games, people who design video games know this. They know that if they overwhelm you, you're not coming back. And they also know that if they make them too easy, you're like, who gives a shit? So play requires tension. It requires, I'm going to use the word suffering. It requires a little bit like, damn it, I want that. I'm going to try again and I'm going to get better and I'm going to win. Like that's part of it. That's why I said like anything at some point, like if we really find our seat, like anything can have a form of play when we recognize that the stakes, maybe there's not so much at stake, right? After we get through the survival bits, but it's just like recognizing like this is what makes it fun. Having some stakes in the game is what makes it fun. I've been married to this person for X years. Like what would make it fun? Like we've never had a conversation about ABC. What happens if we go there? Could be fun instead of like, nope, Let's
Right.
just stay on the couch and watch the same TV show again. So
Because this is safe.
finding
This is certainty.
it's a safe uncertainty and it's boring as fuck,
Yeah. Been there,
right?
done that. Yeah.
Right. So there's no energy there. There's no aliveness there. But what happens if I want some more aliveness? What happens if I want some more connection? I've got to go to places that are a little vulnerable. I got to go to places that are a little dangerous in that regard. Like I might screw up, but what if the stakes aren't that big a deal? It's like, I'm not 60 feet off the ground. I'm only 6 inches.
I love that. And I agree 100%. I think God, the creator, created us perfectly that you have to have bad in order to appreciate the good. And if we can, it's essentially what you're talking about with dangerous of like start redefining the definition of these things and expect it to be a normalcy. Like you're talking about any playful thing, you have to have some of that tension. You have to have a little bit of that nerve, but that's what makes it so freaking amazing. And so if we can just take, okay, I want to start finding more about myself, or I want to start being more still, or I want to find more playfulness in my life. Are you setting your parameter on something really big that's unobtainable? Because like you're talking about, then our brains wire and get frazzled and be like, cool, I'm not even going to attempt it. Or are you making it too easy? Like find out how you can get it to be in that kind of sweet spot where you're pushing yourself, but not so much that it seems daunting and unobtainable, and see how that starts to feel. Like for me, with taking it back to like meditation, it was like, cool, I did it this stupid way of like, cool, I'm going to do it for 20 minutes. I can do it for 20 minutes. And like 3 minutes in, I was like, nope, I'm done. Like, cause I was so freaked out about people and things, even being in my house, I couldn't keep my eyes closed for more than 3 minutes. I was like, so what's happening out there? And so then it's like, cool, that became my new baseline. All right, cool. Now I know I can do it for 3 minutes. Like, do it again. And then it was like, oh, what if you could just stretch that and go to 4? Okay, I could do that. And I just kept stretching it until I did Dispenza. I don't know if you've ever done one of Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you're familiar with
I
him.
know who he is.
His was really good. We went over in Nashville, I think. It was like a 6-day, 6-hour meditations every single day. So that was awesome. But at that time, there's no way I could have done that. But it's
Yeah.
just stretching yourself. What's it like being married to a therapist that she understands a lot of this stuff and a lot of things? Like, so has that made it so your guys' relationship is just perfect because she knows all these things on what you should and shouldn't do?
I have a lot of friends that are therapists and coaches. And so I can see the difference. Like there's people that understand a lot and know a lot of information, and they can be good at their job because of what they know. And then there are fewer people that actually embody things.
Mm.
And my wife truly embodies like just a natural state of kindness and understanding and acceptance. She's very disarming in that way. Like people just naturally just want to tell her everything that's going on in their lives. She's a very safe person to be around. She's also got a wicked sense of humor, and she's really fun, and she's just really easy to be with. And so in terms of like her knowledge and background and training, and absolutely that's fantastic. But I think just also at her core, she's just a fantastic human being. Like she's my favorite human being on the planet, along with my daughter. So it's hard to pull those two things
To
apart.
separate,
Like,
yeah.
but I think just at her core, like she's just a freaking awesome human being.
So then do you guys not run into relationship issues and struggles because you guys
Not at all.
know
No,
what to do? Oh, this is happening. You're not being open about this. When you say this, how does that make you feel? Like,
No, we actually had we got pretty heated the other night over something. My daughter brought something to us, and I had a way I wanted to treat it, and my wife had another way that she wanted to treat it. We got heated, and what I've noticed is that we're able to be heated about things without getting personal. So we can still be
noticing
passionate.
emotions aren't facts.
Well, just getting hurtful like this, like we're having a conversation about X. This doesn't mean I have to now attack you if I'm
Right.
getting my way. That rarely happens with us. Like I can count the times in our relationship of 20 plus years of like where we've gotten personal with one another and actually wanted to hurt one another, which is actually the norm, right? Like, wait, you voted for that guy? You're an idiot. Like it's just the first thing that comes out of someone's mouth is to do a personal attack. And so I would say that we're more skillful at disagreeing with, but that doesn't mean that we don't solve problems, or it's not like we just like, okay, well, we don't have problems. Like, no, we have problems. We just deal with them. We try to deal with it more in a way of like, okay, we don't need to make this personal and hurtful and then have to repair that too.
How long have you guys been married?
We're going on our 21st year.
What advice do you have to the person that's either new to a relationship or doesn't understand how to have a healthy relationship? What advice do you wish you could have told yourself 23 years ago?
Relationships are a lot like cooking. And if you start with great ingredients, it's a lot easier. So that means you got to clean up your side of the street. You got to be a responsible person. You can't be playing the victim. You can't be villainizing people and all that kind of stuff. You're doing your work to clean up your side of the street and be accountable and be responsible for yourself. And be with someone else who is too. I would say one of the biggest things that like I just see over and over again, unfortunately, is the drama triangle showing up in relationships. Are you familiar with the Cartman's drama triangle?
No, inform us.
Okay. So in essence, it's essentially like you can just watch. Once you see it, you'll see it everywhere. It's in movies, it's in the media, it's in every relationship. But the drama triangle is that we revolve between we rotate identities. We're either the victim, I'm powerless, poor me, when I'm going poor me, or I feel justified to now attack somebody, now I'm the persecutor, or you know what, it's my turn to put on the cape. I'm the only one that can make this right. It's my job to fix everything here. And chances are in our relationship, we tend to gravitate towards one of those, but we oscillate between all of them. There's no winning in this place because they're all powerless.
Yeah.
So there's a great book called The Power of TED. TED stands for the empowerment dynamic. The empowerment dynamic is that one flipped. Instead of the victim, we see ourselves as creators, as owners. Like we can be responsible here. We're capable
as
of
you were
learning
saying
something.
those, I'm like, I can't even think. I feel like it's always the opposite.
And then, instead of being the rescuer, we could be supportive. Hey, sounds like you're going through a tough time, but I'm going to support you to fix it yourself. Or instead of being the persecutor, you suck at this. It was like, hey, I've got a challenge for you. What if you took care of XYZ and you took responsibility for it, right? So those are some examples. I bring this up because 99% of the time, the trouble in relationships, whether it's with our parents or our loved ones or our business associates or whatever, is because of the drama triangle. The drama triangle is being allowed to exist
By
the people involved. They don't realize they're doing it. And if you don't know how to identify it, it just seems normal. And so most of the time when I see problems happening, like they learn, I educate them about the drama triangle, educate them about the empowerment dynamic, and that puts them on the right path. If both people are willing to take ownership, then anything is possible. But if one partner is like, nope, everything's your fault all the freaking time, or one of those types of things, this is not going to work. And so that would be one of the first things that I would test. And it's one of the first things I test when I'm talking to a client is like, are they kind of stuck in this blame game world? Are they someone that's like, I'm going to take responsibility for this.
Yeah.
This is what's mine. And actually that challenge is yours. That's not mine. But if we can start to look for that in the people that we're dealing with and just like, okay, I need to be very careful. This person spends most of their time in this drama triangle. I don't want to have any part of it.
I'm hearing a lot of, okay, cool. If you're in a relationship, make sure you're taking accountability, not judging or putting it off on them and blaming.
Just blame game, or if I feel justified to one of the things that I've got into, and I'm not happy about this in previous relationships, which was many years ago, was just like the relationship wasn't going well. And I could convince myself, well, the relationship's not going well because my partner's not doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, justification.
And it was never my fault. She's not doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And which sends the signal, you're not good enough, like all the freaking time. How good is that relationship going to be if that person never feels like they're measuring up?
I feel like I was that a lot in my relationships prior because that's how I saw myself.
Yeah.
And if I was not good enough, you could be sure as shit that no one else was going to be good enough. And it hurts my heart. And even my wife, we've been together since 2008, but we got married in 2011. So we're 14 years. And we almost got a divorce, but man, it just hurts my heart to think of that. I used to judge her and she never asked for that. She didn't say, hey, Creighton, bring all your childhood trauma, all that, and just dump that on me. Please tell me how I'm not good. Tell me all that. And we would never do that to our kid. And that was how my whole thing started changes. I was just so used to using her, of just telling her what she's not good at, judging her, all that, because again, like you said, that's normal. That's how I saw myself. Right. And it wasn't until I had my daughter and I was like, I will do anything in my power so that she doesn't have to see herself or feel the way about herself the way that I felt about myself. So I was like, I'll change everything about who and what this
Mm.
is so that she doesn't have to live and feel this way. That's where I started to take 100% ownership and actually, like you were talking about, like wanting to change instead of just being like, well, that's just how it is. I mean, I was 30. That's all I knew. I was fine. And I think this is what I run into a lot in men of, you get in your 30s, 40s, and that's all you know, and you've just given up. Like, to be honest, at 30, I'd given up. I had a good career. I had a quote unquote good relationship, even though it was absolutely terrible because I didn't know how to communicate. But like, that's just the life that I built. And I didn't know any better. I use the analogy of like, I never had really good food until I had Indian food for the first time. It's like, whoa, this exists.
Mm.
So at 30, I didn't know that it was possible to have a different sort of being. It was just, this is what it was. And then once I had my daughter and realized that she's going to be the same, I'm like, okay, no, I will change any and everything for this. But until then, that's just who I was. And I was ready to cash out the rest of my life just being that version. Do you
Wow.
see that from a lot of people? That I have noticed coaching people with kids is so much easier because I love to twist it towards what would you tell your child? How would you want your child? Because they're so much more easier and willing to do stuff for others than to do it for themselves, because for their whole life they just been letting themselves down. They didn't have integrity, all these things. So it's hard to change that.
We become a lot more aware, or we can become a lot more aware when we have those kids. Like, we start to see them mirroring the things that some kids will point it out. Hey, daddy, you're doing X, Y, and Z. He's like, damn it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see myself that way, but you're pointing out that I'm doing it. It's like they're here to kind of figure out where the buttons are and,
Oh, it's
and press
beautiful.
them for us. And so recognizing, I love what you said, it was like there's a lack of curiosity when we think like this is really it, right? There's this place where we arrive. And to me, it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, was like, okay, who am I? I've already figured it out, but it's more of like, who am I in comparison and in relevance to everything else?
Yeah.
We don't recognize there's another flap on the menu. It's like, oh, the game keeps going.
Yes.
And where's our curiosity? But if we've lost that curiosity, if we've
Yes.
lost that connection with essence, like I was talking about earlier, we'll know something's off because I don't feel alive. I don't feel curious about the world.
It's not playful. You're not playing with anything.
Right. You're just doing what you do to get to survive. That's
Check
a
out.
big deal, right? Like, I don't want to knock that down, but it's just like at a certain point though, where you're just like, okay, is this really it? Is this all there is? Okay, there's another flap on the menu, and it's not more of the same shit. It's kind of deeper. Like, what am I really here to give? What am I really here to experience? What am I really here to become?
I want to ask one last thing and then I'll let you bounce out of here. But I know you've been married for 20 years. So with that, do you feel like it gets easier or harder as time goes by? Because we've been together for 14. And so I have my own interpretations of that. But curious
think
for
there was
someone that's further ahead.
It was definitely a period of like we had to learn how to be married, because she and I were both very independent people when we met. We were both, we were in our 30s and we both had our careers, and we weren't necessarily kids anymore. And so we'd had a life of like, hey, I go and explore and I go do things and I create
Freedom.
and yeah, there was also just a more of an independence, where for a lot of people, if they get married, like they've kind of always been dependent on others.
Right.
And so we had to learn how to like be married in a lot of ways. And we've gotten closer and closer over the years. I would say that we also go through seasons of life, and those seasons offer new challenges for us, right? So becoming parents, woo, that was a big one. And now we're looking at our daughter going off to school in a couple of years. That's going to be another one. So there's just these like seasons that we'll face together. And those are all touch points of like, well, who are we now? What do we want for our lives now? How can we serve one another now? How can we get out of our own way here?
I think it's so true about the seasons that we all go through, because we do that. You're talking about your daughter being 15, like she's in a season that's totally different than the season when she's 30. And I think our relationships go through the same thing. And I know from my wife and I, 7 years in, we almost got the divorce, but at the time it was the worst, most miserable thing in my life. But we look back and we're like, I wouldn't trade it for anything, because it was so freaking hard. but it forced us to be accountable and do the work to make something bigger. Like you were talking about going to the gym, of it being uncomfortable, but when you come out, you're stronger. And I think that people that aren't stressing and challenging and having those conversations in their relationship are actually slowly suffocating and killing their relationship. Because going back to, I love everything you've talked about, is you're not stressing, you're not challenging, you're not pushing it. So you're not giving it the opportunity to grow into something that you didn't even know was possible. Like you're talking about, there's like 20 other pages past where you're at on the menu. You just haven't got there yet because you're doing the same thing and you're being a coward and not having those conversations.
I want to watch out because you touched on that point that we touched on earlier, which is like stressing, ooh, well, I must be doing the work if I'm suffering. And that's not an indicator that you're growing, because there's a lot of suffering that comes from just denying and avoiding and hiding. And so there's a nuance to that. It's like there's definitely the challenge and the tension that comes from work, like leaning into the things, having conversations that need to be had, dealing with things. And then there's the suffering that comes from we're not dealing with it. We're stuffing stuff under the rug and hoping it just kind of goes away. So, I would just watch out. Like suffering is not an indicator that you're making progress, right? And I know you know that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, 100% towards what are the things that you aren't dealing with or talking about is the things that are going to prevent you from.
I talk about this in my book, the difference between comfort and peace. If I got a toothache, right, I can take a Tylenol and I can drink some whiskey and get some comfort. But peace of mind comes from pulling the damn thing out, right? Like dealing with it, dealing with the infection and getting it out. And so I think a lot of us are doing the comfort thing where we're coping and we're doing the best we can to just kind of get along and cope and cope and cope. But there's no peace distracted there. Yeah, but there's no peace of mind there because we know we're not dealing with it. We're not making it really any better. And so the real peace of mind is like, I made the phone call. We're going to have this meeting. We're dealing with this thing. We're taking it on. And then there's like okay, like this is going to be hard, but there's also a part of us which relaxes. Like I'm actually honoring myself here. I'm honoring my life. I'm honoring my marriage or my family, but we're going to deal with this. We're not going to stuff it any longer. And so if we can understand that difference between the comfort, this temporary comfort where we're punting the ball, till next week, and then the peace of mind that comes from like, no, we're fucking dealing with it right now.
I love that. And this is my final question. You kind of answered it already, but what does living dangerously mean to you as a husband, father, and a man who's done all the work that you've done?
I think it's recognizing that the gravity to be comfortable all the time is always there, the gravity to seek certainty and stability, the gravity to always look good. Here I am being interviewed and I want to have the answers and act like I've got some kind of status. I'm just a fucking dude, man. I'm trying to get through life just like everybody else, right? It's just like there's this gravity and this pull to all this stuff, and it can kill us. It can kill our vitality. And so I wrote that book and I'm like, I'm the guy that needs to read it. Like I need to read it regularly. Like to remind myself, like, continue to find those places where you're searching and you're curious and there's something there, because that's where you feel alive, instead of like, I'm fine today. Just go back to bed. Like that kind of thing. Like I feel it more as I'm getting older. That gravity really takes in. I can feel the wiring. It's just like, let's just chill out. It's like, oh shit, man. Like, watch out, dude.
It's funny because I feel like my wife, the reason why God put us together is we're yin and yang. Like she can be still and she looks up to me for my doing. And then vice versa. Like I love that she can just sit and I want to be around her and be with her. She's like, let's just lay on the couch and just be together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, let's do that. But it's going to be really hard for me. But I love every second of it because, again, when it's all said and done, I never regret doing those things. And I know that obviously that's the reason why I'm attracted to her. And so knowing that there's this pull to kind of have those, and going back to what you're talking about, like it's all seasonal. There's times where I'm going to let my doing energy go, and then other times where I know I'm going to have to pull the reins back and let the being energy kind of just be there and be okay with that and know that it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's why I named my daughter B.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I almost told my wife, we just had our fourth, And I was saying for a boy, I was like, let's just name him Abel, because I want to constantly to remind myself that through God, anything is able. Like through him, anything
Beautiful.
is able. Bro, before I let you get out of here, is there anything that we didn't talk about or anything that you feel encouraged to share with others before we jump out?
Oh, this has been fun, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. And for you, what is it that you have coming out? How can we help you? I know you have the book.
Books nowhere near coming out, so that'll be down the road. But the existing book, this book will make you dangerous, is available. It's on Kindle, it's on Audible, it's on Spotify. I think it's on Spotify. It's on Amazon, obviously. So yeah,
Okay.
it's everywhere. There's books.
And the New Man podcast is out.
New Man Podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts. Been doing it since
So good.
2007.
I highly recommend anyone that is looking for more to go there. I've got so much from it. All right,
Yes,
Tripp,
man.
appreciate you. It's been a trip hanging out with you today. I'm sure you've never heard that before. Appreciate you, man.